Hey, Immaterial World listeners, we know you're always doing the work, committed to your practices around personal exploration, curiosity, and spiritual wellness.
We've partnered this season with Wiser Books, who work with so many creators and with titles across spirituality, relationships, mysticism, mindfulness, and more. Like Secrets of Romani Fortune Telling, you'll certainly find alignment with what's next for you in your journey.
For those in the immaterial world, use code immaterial30 at checkout on redwheelwiser.com, linked in the show notes. That's immaterial30 for 30% off your purchase through the end of March. Happy exploring. Welcome to Immaterial World,
a dedicated and transparent space to recenter how we explore glamour, magic, culture, and everything else we love together.
Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. As far as the galaxy goes, we're flying in the immaterial world. Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. With mind and body and soul, we're flying in the immaterial world. The immaterial world.
Rohini Moradi is a multidisciplinary storyteller whose work moves across film, music, writing, and performance. Her creative practice explores the unseen forces that shape imagination, creativity, and human experience, often blending cinematic storytelling with philosophical and spiritual inquiry. At the center of her work is a fascination with where ideas come from and how creativity moves through us. Her book, Tapping Into the Akasha, explores the concept of the Akasha, the universal field believed to hold the memory of all experiences, and how individuals can access this deeper source of intuition, insight, and creative inspiration. Through her projects across multiple mediums, Moradi creates work that invites audiences to slow down, listen deeply, and reconnect with the mysterious origins of their own creativity.
I'm really hoping that our guest today has seen a show that I recently binged, because as I was watching it, I said, is this about the Akashic Records? And I kept watching it. And as I moved through the season, the answer was definitely no, because there was a lot of judgment involved in how the information was being presented. The show was pluribus, by the way, so I'm very curious to see, oh, it looks like she's going to say no to this, so I am going to be able to plug this show that I have nothing to do with, but it was so fantastic, and I was really thinking it was about the Akasha for about 2 episodes, but it's fantastic either way. It might be about AI, it might be about collective psychism, how we're all tapped into one source, but we are so thrilled either way to talk about the more important creative works that come from our guest, Rohini Moradi, and she's going to help us unpack all about channeling the divine. Welcome to the immaterial world.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to sit with you both.
Yes, so exciting. I mean, tell us all about your journey and how we got to be in this place now. Where to begin?
I know, well, I was born in...
Yes, please, start there.
Started a long time. Well, I don't know. We all have a unique upbringing. Mine started in Tehran during the Muslim Revolution, a couple of years after the Muslim Revolution happened. And I grew up in the only Hindu temple there was. So I had, there was Iran. There are many Hindu temples in the world, but I grew up the only one in Iran. So it really created contrasting upbringing for me where, the walls that surrounded me were filled with joy and possibility and love and passion and big ideas and all the fun, good things where I could explore my own imagination and have a lot of fun, be a kid. But right outside of the walls, it was destruction, bombs falling. It was during the Iran-Iraq war also, which lasted about 8 years. So yeah, it was weird. And I think that's really where it all started. And I took this idea of a contrasting life with me. And one of the main principles that I thought about a lot as a child was the idea of attachment, and in Hinduism we say Maya is the material world and all our attachment to it creates suffering, like whatever, the more you attach yourself to material world stuff, the more suffering will come about. And
Thank God we're in the immaterial world.
yeah. Yeah.
Phew.
Exactly. But that's what they say. I don't know. So when we moved to the US, we were able to escape in 1989. It was not an easy journey. We went to Dubai for a few months to get our paperwork done. And then once we had our paperwork done, that got us out of Iran kind of. We went to India to get our green cards to come to America. It was a whole thing. And then we finally landed here. I remember being so excited, and like the feeling was like everything's so much bigger here because it's built later in human history, so there's more room. There's room for cars to drive. It's just like everything seems bigger. So I was really excited, but in that transition, I realized that everything that I was taught and grew up with as a child were targets here. So I started like hiding those things about myself and not even trying to fit in, but just like go incognito. But I mean, like, I'm a weirdo. Like, you can't hide a weirdo. Like, I'm going to stick out no matter what. So I was a target for a while. And I learned how to mask throughout those years. And it wasn't until I suffered like a big tragedy where I like to say it this way. I was made into a puddle and I had to rebuild myself. And I just left all this stuff I didn't need and all the masks and things like that behind. Then intentionally, they weren't. It becomes really obvious when something bad happens, like what's serving you and what's not, what's beneficial and what's not. And you're like, I don't need that anymore. So yeah, and that's how I landed here is all the spiritual stuff that I grew up with really helped me heal and navigate through that time. So I started exploring a little more, and I came about the concept of the Akashic Records through this exploration. And it didn't make sense to me. Like I just kept seeing the word for a long time. And every time I looked it up, it was like 7 years ago. So just imagine what was online about it then. It was weird. Okay. And everything that I ran into was, I don't know, it felt off. Like the idea of the Akasha I resonated with, but everything I was learning about it was really, it seemed religious. Like there was a lot of religious implications put on this ideology where you go to these masters and ask for permission to be granted into this field of information that everyone should have access to. It just didn't make sense to me for a long time. So I started studying the origins of this stuff. And and we emailed a little about this, about talking about maybe the Theosophical Society. So maybe I'm bringing it up prematurely, but I started learning about the colonization of New Age spirituality and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God. And in reading all this stuff, it kind of just hit me. I was like, wait a minute, is the Akasha, or the Akashic Records as they call it, like what the rishis were talking about who wrote the Vedas? So I started researching more of that. And sure enough, Akash was ether pre-manifest, it was the fifth element. And they held it in high regards. It's where everything comes from before it collapses into our timeline or into material, our Maya material way of living. So I started it. I don't know. That whole experience opened a lot up for me and made me feel comfortable. And I started talking about it to people, keeping that regard in hand, and maybe educating more about what we can do ourselves and how it's like a deeper part of us instead of something outside of us. And I noticed like an ease coming over people, because people would come with fear. Like, do you think this is something that I can break into? Like it's that feeling like it's a hierarchy kind of thing. And you might be not be good enough to be able to tap into this conscious field. I don't know about you. Did you do everything right in life? So Yeah, I think I blabbed enough. Am I in a place where I blabbed enough? I think.
That is so perfect. No, I mean, I love this feeling of how I identify with how important it is to make spirituality feel accessible for everyone and not have these barriers around who's good enough. But also, I feel like you're touching on that these practices do come from somewhere, and that's important also to acknowledge. But I would love to talk for a moment about your brand. I mean, you've done so much under the brand Magic Inclined. Where did that concept come from? What has that journey been like? What is it doing now?
Oh, to be honest, I wasn't even trying to build a brand, but it was.
And that's when it usually works.
I know. Like I wasn't trying. My husband kind of coined the term magic inclined. He was like, you should just call, because I was like, I think I was calling my page. I wanted to have a separate page from my personal page. So that's a very private page. And I don't, it's family and friends kind of thing. And I was like, I think I want to go more public and share stories and stuff. And I was calling it Moonwaves Marigold. I don't know why. And I'm like, I hate that name. I don't know why I hate it, but it's just like not me. And then finally he's like, you should just call it Magic Inclined. I'm like, okay. So I did. And then I just started sharing stories. And I got in practice of sharing stories every day until this tragedy happened. And I kept on even during that time, which I think made a strong connection with people. And I think that's maybe why it could even be a brand or whatever it is. But I don't consider it a brand. I think it's just like a space to like, for me to be able to share deeply because I think very deep thoughts. And I'm not a very good speaker, but I love to write. So that's what it is. That's what Magic Incline is, just a place so I can write more.
Yeah, because you have, a newsletter and your story. It's where people can find your book. There's music, there's courses. Like it's a beautiful landing page. And
Thanks. Thank you.
Yes, like owning your multi hyphenateness, which is so, so cool and building community there. I know that we want to get into your book in more detail, but I think we have to start for those who are a bit uninitiated, coming back to what are the Akashic records and how do we define them? If someone was going to have their Akashic records read, what should they expect, or like what do practitioners imagine when they're thinking about the Akashic records?
I can't tell you what practitioners think about it because I feel like my theories and interpretation are very detached from the overarching idea of the Akashic records. The way I learned about the Akashic records was that it's a library that your consciousness goes to and accesses different parts of life. And that's not the way I've experienced it. So it's not that to me. And I think it's great if you think that that's what it is and feel like our imagination's really strong and we can believe whatever we want and make whatever happen. But what the Akasha is either pre-manifest, and it's just our collective consciousness is the best way to describe it to me. It's where all of our consciousness, whether we're on this plane or not, lives. And this consciousness is ever encompassing of the past, present, and possible future. So it's always changing. It's like this weird thing that's always formulating based on what's happening in the present, which is really cool. So we're always updating this data, universal data. And again, like the readings, like that's a different thing, I think, than in the book. We talk a little bit about reading our own records and for others, but it's more about going so deep within to that very center of our being where this release of information flows through. For example, like the rishis are these saints who used to sit at the foot of the Himalayas, and they lived their whole lives in yoga. Like they practice not just the asanas and like the shapes and whatnot, but they paid attention to every part of their being. I think that's like living in full, like there are different sects of yoga, but yoga is like an ideology on how to like live with your full body and spirit, right? So they ate foods that fed their body and soul to keep it clear so that they can receive this information. They moved energy in their body through yoga asana so that it's always flowing so they can receive new information. So in that sense, like what we're doing is we are opening our internal channels so that we can open up that deep inner part of ourselves for information to come through clearly, which it does for all of us. That's like intuition in a way too. But it's a deeper version of intuition. Because sometimes I feel like intuition is like our future self or something being like, do this, do that, like guiding us, like higher self guidance. But the Akasha is like a little more widened than that, where it's a deeper universal, it's a connecting information rather than individualized, if that makes sense. I think
Yeah, it totally does. And like going back to Pluribus for a second, like the way that I knew that it was not about the Akashic records, because there's something happening with the characters that I can tell that they're having like a collective experience, like they're sharing some sort of experience inside. But there was a level of judgment. And I've worked with an Akashic records reader before, and when she explained the records to me the first time, she was like, "If you take 10 selfies right now, the camera's not going to reject it and be like, oh, this one's ugly. You're not going to like it. There's no judgment. It gets uploaded to a cloud. You could delete it. You could keep it. You can post it. Like there's a bit of free will that comes in. Like
that's
there's
a great way of explaining it.
yeah, where intuition is maybe like a little bit more ego based. It's like, what do I like? How do I make the moves to do what I want to do? But
Yeah.
the Kasha is more just like anything's possible. Here's all of the potential outcomes that you
Absolutely.
could be led to.
It's absolutely, and both are really important. Like if we could explain it, the earth is intuition and the universe is Akasha. Does that make like I feel like yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like wait, I just got like I think that
Yeah, and I want to bop back to what you were saying about, the discourse around the Akashic records and cultural appropriation and erasure, because, the concept was that we're talking about before people had maybe lifted it, definitely from Hindu cosmology. Madame Blavatsky and all these Western theosophists were writing a lot about that. But like you said, it was really derived from Hindu cosmology. And so I've seen a lot of discourse from different practitioners, whether they work with the Akashic records or not, who are not really sure how to ethically engage with it. Like, what should they engage with it at all? How do they do that in a way that doesn't feel appropriative or feel like erasure? How can they do it in a way that feels like it's honoring where it comes from? Really curious about your thoughts. Advice for people who, whether they want to participate or whether they practice, how to navigate ethically and respectfully.
That's really cool. That's a great question. I think because the Akasha's for everyone. It's not just, well, the rishis were channeling it, so it's just a part of Hinduism and that's it, and nobody else. We are it, so we are just a manifestation of it. I don't think anyone's left out. And I feel like that's the problem I had when I was first learning about the Akashic records is like, this seems like you're leaving people out when it's like for everybody. It's a part of all of us. And I think the other problem that I had with like the Theosophical Society and the appropriation of it in that regard specifically is that it's awesome that they went, I think they went to, oh my gosh, Tibet? I'm not sure where they went. It was somewhere near the Himalayas, where they sat with like different Buddhist monks and they practiced in these meditations, and they brought back the idea. They started writing about it. It wasn't really coined by Blavatsky, and later Mary, I can't remember her name, but it was coined by one of the Theosophical Society people. But the problems there are that they took only a part of it and not the full aspect of it. And I think if we're going to be engaging with like an idea that has already been developed and like, they used to call the rishis scientists because like they would take this universal data and test it out in real time. Like Ayurveda comes from the rishi, like there are many different parts of the Vedas. they're scientists. These theories have been proven, right, over thousands of years. I think leaving a huge aspect of it out and changing it to fit a religious narrative in that way is harmful. So if you are going to be practicing it, maybe like learn about the full spectrum of it and bring it all in, like, and make it inclusive. I think that's the thing. Making it inclusive is respecting it. There you go. There you go. We landed somewhere. I was like, if I keep talking, I'll land.
No, that makes sense.
Making it inclusive is the way to engage with it properly. Because what they took is all the love and light parts, and they didn't like include all the shadow stuff and like everything else. And I think that's harmful. It's very harmful.
Yeah, I run into that a lot in my own work where, people might say, "Oh, the Golden Dawn actually invented the this way of reading tarot, so we don't need to look at the other cultures that contributed." And it's like, and the Golden Dawn were inspired by whom? So I think that's a really tactful way of putting it, is to be inclusive and to think about
Yeah.
the deeper roots of these things, not just people's interpretations more recently.
And we're all just humans on this earth,
Yeah.
Don't listen to any humans. Like we're all trying to figure it out, including like my perspective is just a tiny part of it too. I don't know everything. Like I just sat around and thought about this idea and wrote it down, but that doesn't mean I know every aspect of it. I think just being more inclusive and to ideas is the healthiest way to engage with anything and the most respectful way, I think.
Yeah, curiosity is a gift.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I love this. I want to come back to that reader that I was talking about before too, because I think just like you were saying, having the balance of love and light, spirituality with shadow, with experience, with curiosity, like these are all so important. And I really love this idea that she had instilled in me that like there's a lack of judgment when you are working with the Akasha. She really was able to see a lot of dramatic changes that I'd be making in my life. And I am someone that really believes in fated events, and that if you're moving through life, you kind of came here with a destination in mind, and you'll be brought to experiences like in one way or another as you're moving along. But you still have the free will to move through it. And I just always found the Akasha fascinating for that reason, because it was kind of like, here's a read on where you are right now and how you're getting to that destination, like on the current path that you're on, which you can divert from at any time. I'm curious, as you were going into your own journey with the Akasha, like what was coming up for you, what experiences you were having or discoveries, and why they resonated with you so much.
Um, well, I was going through a really hard time when I first started incorporating this into my meditation. So for me, it was healing on those levels where I'm confronting like really deep parts of myself. But like after meditating on myself for so long, it got boring. I'm like, I don't want to just ask about me. Like I'm tired. I already know what's going on in my stupid head. Like, so I started just exploring my relationships and then like the world. And after the world, I started asking about the universe, and it just expanded more and more. And the more I went macro, the more I realized like how maybe I don't even want to ask questions anymore, which is the realization that I came to. I was doing a lot of readings, I was teaching, and it was around that time where I'm like, I'm going to stop doing all that. I'm just going to write it down, because at that point, I realized like how important all these moments are. And, it's the journey that brought me to that realization, which I'm really grateful for. But yeah, I realized I want to just implement everything that I had learned, which was really to be in the present moment, whether it's easy, joyous, difficult, sad, just to let it ring out and follow. I guess the intuition things comes back, but follow like my solar plexus and where that's leading me. And I started practicing that, and I feel really great about it actually. But that's the journey in itself, like took me on a whole journey. And it's landed me here where, I don't know, I have a bigger appreciation for myself, the complicated relationships in my life, the easy relationships in my life, and like where, like I know no matter what, whether something horrible happens to me or not, like I'm gonna be okay. Like there's that deep knowing because of the exploration.
Yeah, I mean, you're so insightful and self-aware, even when talking about the most challenging experiences you've been through, your relationship to grief, near-death experience, that you speak about often as being your bridge to your destined path and the realization of how interconnected we all are. Why is it so important to recognize grief as an opportunity? And how would you recommend people might try holding themselves in these challenging times with reverence and the potential to alchemize?
That's nice. Well, grief is unavoidable. We're all going to go through it in one form or another. It's going to be different for all of us, but it's unavoidable. Like it's just a part of our life. And fearing it and having a hesitation towards it is only going to make it harder. And I think that comes back to that whole aspect of attachment to Maya, the material world. But that's what they're talking about. It's like it takes away the reverence when we have such deep attachments, right? And I don't mean not having it or not caring about something, because I feel like that word can get misinterpreted really easily. Like not having an attachment doesn't mean, well, I don't care about this. Like I'm going to close that part of myself off so that I don't feel anything, so that doesn't hurt me. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is knowing that everything has a cycle, and everything that's alive is going to not be alive someday. And that's just a part of life. And once we make amends with that, it's still going to hurt when it happens. But my advice is when grief does come to visit, to let it in and sit with it and let it do what it needs to. Because if you're avoiding it, it's just going to get more and more difficult. It's going to come in many different ways for different people. So there's not one way, like there's not a remedy for it. But I think letting yourself feel the feelings initially is going to be a lot less painful than waiting to feel them.
I love that. It's so beautiful. It really is. And it sort of reminded me, I had read somewhere a phrase that you had said, it's a good idea at a certain point to move away from an addiction to healing. And that like slapped me across the face because I've been in a few years of like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to like explore this. And one day very recently, I was like, I'm done knowing about myself. Like I'm good for a little bit. Like I can step away from this and just be a little bit more and be present. So I deeply, deeply resonate with that thought. What's sort of a gentle way that you might recognize or someone might recognize this in themselves and like a good time or good, advice to step back and be a bit more present? What would you tell me? Girl, get it together.
Well, the question to the question is like, what are you searching for? What are we really searching for when we're searching for healing? Are we searching for comfort? Is that where we're going? Like, do we just want to be comfortable? Is there like a void we're trying to fill? Why do we have that void? Like, it's usually like rooted in, early childhood stuff, not to like go back to that, but am I enough? Am I good enough? Do you love me? And I feel like at a certain point, like we have to give ourselves what we need, and we can't search for it outside of ourselves because the world of healing isn't going to give it to us.
Right.
It's a business, and like I'm realizing that is like, oh, it's a business. It's a business, which I'm not saying like don't go talk to a therapist or like try to fix, because sometimes we have to go through the world of healing to realize what it is that we're searching for. So when you realize what it is, that's when you sit with it.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, a lot is rooted in self-trust. And after all of these years of exploring different modalities and doing journaling and researching and really plugging into myself, if I find myself in a place where I'm questioning my intuition or like doing something just as a first instinct, I'm like, okay, then what was all that time spent for? And it like sort of snaps me back into reality. And it's like
Yeah.
you're your own worst enemy when it, like don't let the healing work through you and let it change you. You know, be
Totally.
receptive to that change that you have called in.
Yeah, totally. But I think that's a part of the journey too, in a way, to like, shut myself up in a way and rebuttal what I had previously said. But like going through that training probably got your body ready to be able to recognize that too. So that's also important. But it does become addictive, right? Like where it's like, I think if we're going through the cycles and we're constantly seeking something from the outside to solve something within, it's just going to stay a cycle. But if our focus is that we're searching for something within while we're going through the healing, then maybe the process can be faster too. It sounds like you reached that point, which is cool.
Yeah, and I think that I have awareness of my own addictive cycling that I can get into. Like even like I'm working on like sort of the next levels of my astrology knowledge, and it's like now it's all about progress charts. Now it's all about solar return charts, and it's like how much more can I know about myself? I'm over it. I'm sick of myself. Like it's good to step back at this time. I'm like the guy in the meme with like all the like lines connecting, and it's like, oh yeah, it's so interconnected. And it's beautiful. Like I love having that feeling that I feel so aligned with the interconnectedness of the universe, but like also, girl, get a grip. Like come live like a human life on earth too. So I just absolutely adored when I read your wherever that was. I can't remember now, but it was like, maybe you have an addiction to healing. I was like, guilty, guilty as charged.
I did too. That's why I said. Because sometimes it hurts and you have to like make sense of it. Like, why did this happen to me? But yeah, I mean, not everything's in our control. I realized like I was somehow I got invited to do like an ayahuasca ceremony. And my earlier days, I'm older now. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't want to recover. And like, I'm just tired. Okay. I'm going to bed at 6 p.m. Leave me alone. But I got invited to do this thing. And I thought about it. I had been invited before and I said no many times. It just probably wasn't the right people. But I got invited. I did it. And it was beautiful. It was awesome. I chose the right people. But I've had this like this horrible back problem. I got in a car accident when I was like my young 20s, and it's just been a constant shoulder thing in my life where I'm like, it's always hurting. So I made sure I had the most comfortable stuff with me during the ceremony and everything. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like so comfortable, I'm like so comfortable. And as like the medicine hits, I notice I'm just like, oh, I'm not comfortable. And I'm just like, for a whole hour, I'm just trying to be comfortable. Like I was just looking for comfort and it just hit me. And I'm like, oh, I think like I just do this in my whole life. Like I'm just looking to be comfortable.
Oh
And I'm
wow,
missing the whole
yeah.
point of everything because I'm just looking to be comfortable and I'm missing the point. And I started laughing and I was like, whoa, what? Because everyone's like, "Ah," and I'm like, ha ha ha, like, psycho. You're not supposed to talk. But I'm laughing and then I don't know, I just had the best time after that. I'm like, I'm not gonna look for comfort anymore. And I think that also helped like in the whole, ooh, my dog agrees. But
Sparks of
thank you.
truth.
She said crystals. Thank you. Thank you. We're not looking for comfort. She says she does like to speak up. When
I'm
she
happy for
resonates.
her. She's a liberated pup.
Yes. But yeah, I feel like that whole thing is in line with what we're talking about, right? The whole loop of healing.
I mean, that feels so apt too, because we are living in times that are extremely dysregulating, and I never feel comfortable. I mean, not just because I'm chronically ill, but like for a bunch of reasons. So, like, totally reasonable that you would want to be seeking comfort, and also reasonable that that can't always be the only thing we do. But with this in mind, it's more critical than ever to be tapped into our intuitive practices to help us manage this dysregulation, which is probably the hardest time to be intuitive is when you're dysregulated, and to try to listen to your inner voice and cultivate that self-trust. So considering, if you are feeling really activated, or if the world or news around you is very activating, um, what are some ways that you would suggest people try to anchor themselves, so that some of the best practices when you're kind of already in the shit show?
That is so good. And it's something I need to remind myself because I'm often dysregulated looking at the news, especially with everything going on right now and hitting so close to home, literally. I I struggle with this because I want to say give yourself time away, and that's healthy, and you should. But also shutting it out, I feel like is really harmful in a way. In all honesty, I think in these times we need to fall in love with ourselves deeply so that we have the courage and the stamina to keep up and that will alone get us out of like the fear mode of it and empower us. And I think we need to feel really empowered during these times. We need to feed our soul. We need to tell ourselves how wonderful we are, how we are enough. We are supposed to be here. This is the timeline we've incarnated into for a reason. And just give ourselves all the love so that we can be at full capacity to give it to the people around us. And I think if we're talking about the Akasha being the collective consciousness, putting that energy into the collective consciousness does so much more than we could imagine. It anchors like this deep rooted love for humanity in there. And I think that's really important right now. Whether you want to watch the news or not, we feel it. If you're shutting it out, you're probably feeling it more. Just give yourself some love and step away from that fear aspect because that's feeding the beast.
That's such good advice. I mean, I think that it always feels like such a tall ask or a tall order, whenever clients are working with me, or I'm working with me if I'm going through it, to be like, oh, you should meditate or something like that. It's like, oh, maybe I just need to lay and cry and think about loving myself and the universe. Maybe that's plenty.
I like to take a deep bath.
Yeah, maybe it's just
Just relax the
deep bath.
muscles. And then like when you feel good, then you can do more. And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't have that luxury to be able to have the time to love ourselves, but I think that's what like just having that anchor in the work and maybe like the loop of healing does for one, like when it comes to times like this, it's like, oh, I did all this work to prepare myself for this
Mm.
moment. I don't have time to go meditate right now. I got to get on the streets and like, make my voice heard or something. Like that's great too. Like we're doing the work for it to live inside of our body so that it just pops out when it needs to.
I love that. Yeah, because sometimes action is the thing too, where it's like the misery comes from not taking action sometimes.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. The self-hatred, self-doubt, like, I should be doing this. The shoulds. Why
Yeah.
not just go do it? It's hard I know. Everything has its place too, like some people are meant to do this much, some people are meant to do that, or, like as long as we put in what we are good at doing, then I think that's good. And that adds up to a lot, actually. If everyone just put in like a 1% effort towards something, like together, that's unstoppable.
Yeah, I love the saying we all have a role to play in the resistance. It's one of my favorites.
It is. I think you're right. There, We can't all be playing the same role. Like,
Yeah.
that's
How valuable.
disorganized. Yeah, there's a lot going on these days, huh? It's really,
Yeah.
it's hard. How are you
Oh,
all
yeah.
feeling about everything?
Oh, you know.
It's a very special episode we could do on that topic. Um, but I think, to what you're asking, just being mindful of everyone asking their communities and their friends and their families and checking in and being receptive to hearing others' worries and what they're going through. So thank you for asking.
Yeah.
It resonates. It means a lot.
Mm.
I want to go back to the one thing we have not talked about, which is your book. Can you tell us a little bit that our listeners can look forward to reading in your book? I mean, first of all, congratulations. This is a huge accomplishment, and it's in the world, and it's beautiful. And I think that it's so important, like, even with what we were just discussing, listening to your inner voice, listening to your intuition, that's what's keeping you safe. That's what's your home inside of your body. So that all has to do with the Akasha as well.
Absolutely. The book is here. I'm so excited. I can't even believe it. I've wanted to write a book since I was in high school. Like my goal, I was like, I just loved my English teacher, and he would give me books to read, like after school, like books, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to be an author. And I always told him that. And I went to college with the idea of becoming an English teacher just like him because he was so inspiring to me. Didn't happen. I made more money bartending, so I didn't become a teacher, which I'm happy about. Now I have a bartending school and I'm teaching bartending, through that. So that's great. But the book is a lifelong dream. And the way it happened was like so, I don't know, it's rooted in a tragedy, I guess, but it's been alchemized into like this whole bigger thing now. And I don't even know where to start, but it really started with this woman named Sandra who started having dreams about us after we experienced this tragedy. And we were in India reconciling, and this woman works with my sister-in-law's husband at a construction company. And she randomly just started having dreams about us. And she told them her first dream, and they're like, maybe we won't tell them this, it's fine. But then she had another dream, and it was about the exact location we were in India. So they gave us both dreams while we were there, and it really set us off on this journey / mission where we met people in real life that she had dreams about that she didn't know about. So it was that's where it all started, and that's where I started exploring more. And we called ourselves soul detectives at the time. We became like soul detectives. And that's what led me to the Akasha and about teaching about it and bringing the message of you are enough and like connect with yourself. Like that's what the book really is. Sure, practice this, practice that, eat this. This is what this means. This is what the scientific thing says about this. So you should believe it. Sure. Surface level, sure. But really, it's about really loving yourself, just letting yourself love yourself and accepting yourself and going out into the world knowing that you are enough and you are special. But she is the person who started this and started the whole journey. So I really have to, I always thank her. It's all because of her and her courage to really share a scary thing, because telling people about your intuitive dreams is a scary thing to do. She's not someone who does this. This isn't her line of work. And she took a really brave step, and it changed my life. And now we're here. So thank you.
Wow.
But it's really thanks to Sandra is what I'm trying to say.
So beautiful. So I guess people can really look forward to exploring more of how interconnected we all are, even to our sister's husband's coworker.
Coworker. Isn't that amazing?
Oh
The
my
story is
God.
in the back of the book. Like it's all the way in the back, so you can read her dreams and everything that happened. But
Wow.
it did change my life.
Wow. This is so, I just got chills for a second. Woo. Also, please watch Pluribus and then text me
I need
afterwards
to. I
because I'm like
know.
freaking out. I'm like, like
I
you're
need
gonna
to.
freak out when you watch this. Okay.
I wish that was my homework. I would have watched it and then we could have come and talked about it. Like, you have
It-
homework to do. You have to watch a show and then come on our show and talk about it.
And I live alone and I just out loud to myself, I said, is this about the Akashic Records? Like, yelling it out loud.
You know
So,
what movie is about the Akashic Records?
yes, tell me.
It's Frozen 2. Watch Frozen 2 and think about that.
I can kind of see that. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
That's the movie where I was like, this is literally about the Akashic Records.
Will I understand Frozen 2 if I have not seen Frozen 1?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're good.
you're fine.
There's a snowman. It's fine.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I want to tap into really quickly. We have sort of overlapping interdisciplinary worlds. So I'm so curious to ask you about this as well. In December, you created a soundscape for The Shape of Memory, which was a multisensory experience in collaboration with Fatih Janice for New
Yeah.
York City Jewelry Week. Wow. Oh my God. New York City Jewelry Week is like the coolest thing. It's not just showrooms. It's like really cool. Yeah. I want to say it's JB Jones, and I'm trying to think of some of the other founders that I've worked with. But it is like, I don't know how to describe it to anyone except that it's not like showroom appointments, or it is like the coolest, most artistic jewelry artisans and craftsmanship and like experiences. So I'm so curious how you got involved in this. And I mean, like, that is a cool, you have so many multi-hyphenate things. I mean, you just said you like run a bar school. Like, what the hell?
I'm a weirdo.
There's a lot
but-
going on. I love this. So please tell me a little bit about how this came to be and like
Yeah, that was
creating an
so-
environment.
So Fatih, I've known Fatih for like 20 years. She's amazing. She used to front this band called Sugar and Gold, which I loved. It was so cool. And she knew my husband back then. I didn't, before I knew him, she knew him. But she came to my art show. I did an art show with the beautiful, lovely, I love her so much, Mary Greasy, who's an amazing medium channel. She's so cool. And she channels these like woven angel, like guardian pieces, like huge, like she weaves it all. I don't know. She's so cool. But we did an art show together where I did the soundscape for her art show. So I recorded a rose, and then I produced the recording that I got as like this loop that played in the gallery, and then I connected a live rose to a reader and had that as my piece, where like if you go and touch it, like it changes the music because it's connected to
Oh
your
my
frequency.
God.
It was really cool. But Fatih came to that art show and was like, "Whoa, can you? I'm gonna have an art show for New York City Jewelry Week. Can you do a soundscape for me?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Can you record rocks?" I'm like, "Well, probably, yes, I can do it." I didn't know how to record rocks then. I was like, "Yes, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do it." So we started planning it, and I figured out how to record rocks and like the frequency within them. So I created a loop for her solo show, The Shape of Memory, which played throughout the gallery, and I made 2 tracks out of it. We didn't have a live demonstration because I was like traveling through the airport and like the weird devices I have. I'm like, I'm Iranian, like I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna.
But in my mind's eye, you're like, you're in the space and you're like holding a microphone up to a rock. That's how I'm imagining you right now, and it's perfect.
No, it's I built these like copper coils that measure the energy within the rock, and then that is transcribed like that energy is measured in like, how do I say it? It's not a sound, but it's a measurement that I then translate into sound. So I make the measurement into a sound, and then I loop it, and then like I do a little producing. I'm like, sounds cool if I add a little reverb here, or you know what I mean?
I'm so obsessed with this. I love this. So, so cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. I think we're going to do it again this year, so it's really exciting.
Well, then
Thanks
I
for
will
that.
see you at New York City Jewelry
Oh my
Week.
gosh, I'll let you know. I'm going to
Yes.
attempt to measure the frequency of metal and turn it into music. So let's see how that goes. It seems a little more difficult than rock because rock is like, I don't know, it's so like natural. So it's metal, but I went to the river, there was water involved. Like it's a lot easier to measure energy when there are all these like nature elements just working. But with metal, I'm curious. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I've heard plant music before, which is
Mhm.
so, so cool.
It's
But
so cool.
oh,
But
that's
yeah, we'll see what
fun.
happens.
So, shifting gears a little, what tools and practices do you tend to lean on in your own personal care, self-care? Like, what are your go-tos?
Well, my go-tos have become really simple these days. Usually, wind, just walking in nature, sunlight if I can get it, uh, breath, and I like closing my eyes and sitting in silence. Very simple things. Sipping tea, drinking water. I feel like these are like anything that'll bring me to the present moment and get me out of my loops. I feel like are powerful tools for me. Just because I can go. I'm an overthinker. I have a lot of ideas. I'm open to the universe. So sometimes it gets really distracting and convoluted and get lost in my loops. So anything that'll bring me to the present moment is a great tool for me personally. It's different for everyone.
Yeah, I love that. It's always so interesting to hear what practitioners think of as their go-to tools. And they're often those deep yet simple. It's like deceptively simple. Like it seems like it's simple, but it's truly not.
But isn't that like the whole theme for life where we're like
Isn't
trying to
it?
like it's this big thing? It's like, no, it's really simple, actually.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
simplify.
No, I
Yeah.
love that. I love it's been a really beautiful theme because I think it brings us back to really anything that we do with intention is a spiritual practice. And it's nice to think about what works for you with intention.
So true. Whatever brings you to the present moment, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we hear a lot of like breathing or moving, like dancing. Like those are the things that we hear the most about. It's like the simplest, but like getting out of your mind and getting into your body. And you must constantly be in your mind. I have to know, do you have any Gemini placements? You got like a lot of
No, I have a lot of Gemini placements.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. I have a few Gemini placements. I have a Gemini moon and I always tell people it's like having tabs open like all the time and it's like which one am I going to like go work on? So
What are
highly
your threes?
highly relate. Oh, I'm a Pisces sun, Gemini moon, Aries rising.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
Yeah.
cool.
I'm a Gemini rising, Leo sun, Pisces moon.
Oh, cool. Oh my gosh. Pisces. I have a lot of Pisces in my life. My husband and my son are both spicy
Mm.
Pisces. I like his whole family is Pisces. Some of my best friends are Pisces. Yeah, I think Pisces and I gel well together. But I'm a Gemini sun, Aquarius moon, Virgo rising.
Oh,
Like that makes sense for
yeah.
me.
And the Aquarius moon too is like you just don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Like it's the best.
I'm excited to have Aquarius.
I
I love Aquarius people because of that reason. I
It's
feel
one
like
of my favorites. Yeah, I have an Aquarius Venus, and it is like the best thing. Like in relationships, I tend to want too much space, which is not great. But like when it comes to things that I love and like, my work is my life, like I am so detached to what other people think about it. And it's like, I'm just doing it for me, baby. And like
nice.
Aquarius is like that. And I love that so, so much. But I was like, I think there's a lot of Gemini going on there.
You're right.
Speaking of Gemini and like running with all those open tabs, what are you focusing on this year? What's upcoming for you? What kind of projects can we expect from you? I know we just sort of previewed, we heard one before we started
Yeah.
recording, but you
Well,
don't know, we don't have to talk about it if you're not ready yet.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, perfect.
I'm really excited about the New York City Jewelry Week, but that's not until like November. I am working on, I have a lot of tabs open, as you would imagine. And one thing that's more immediate is I have a soundtrack for a cloud watching album coming out, which I recorded water, and I'm really excited about it. I'm working with an amazing partner musician named David Allred, who has produced a lot of the album at this point. I recorded it at Tiny Telephone with Miriam Kodas, who's an amazing producer slash mixer. And I'm really excited for this to come out. Fatih and I are actually working on an art show to present this soundtrack for cloud watching to the world. The home we had for it was actually recently sold. So the gallery we were going to have our opening at was sold. So now we're looking for a new gallery. Last minute, we'll find it. The right place will come. But we have a really cool art show in place, and she's going to create a whole jewelry line based on cloud watching and clouds. And it's going to be a fully immersive experience with the different clouds formating like all throughout the gallery as you're walking through it. And, we'll see. I mean, maybe I'm like putting too much out there. Now it's putting the cart before the horse because our gallery just sold. But it'll happen. It's happening. And besides that, I've been writing a lot, and I've moved from book to movie. I'm writing a movie, and I'm really excited about it. So that's what's happening in my life right now. I'm really excited.
Cool.
I'm going to make a movie. Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
You are. You are.
Now.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited for you. That sounds amazing.
Thanks.
You have Uranus coming into your sign too. That's going to help like push all of those things along, like the
Are you
Great Disruptor.
serious?
Oh yeah, Uranus is going into Gemini. I'm going to probably misquote. I want to say April 26th. So I'm getting ready for that house to be rocked. Yeah. Yeah, in the best way, in the best way. So I feel like the gallery not working out is not a bad thing. Like a bigger place for more clouds is opening up for you.
I love it. Thank you. I'm excited. Yay.
Yes, that's so exciting. How can people best find you and support your work so they can stay in touch?
Thanks. Best way is just to go to my website, www.magicinclined.com. And everything's there. I feel like an infomercial. Thanks.
So cute. So cute. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And we're really excited for everyone to read your book.
Yes, it was so wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For having me. It was my honor to sit with you two. I'm glad we made it work.
Yes.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us in the immaterial world. While you're here, we hope you subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite streaming services. The real magic is in connection and community. Share your favorite episode with friends and come follow us for more on Instagram at Immaterial World Pod and Patreon at patreon.com/Immaterial World.
Shining, tell me all your dreams. You're a special kind of magic. Show me all your favorite things. You're pretty like a sunset. You're pretty like a pearl. You're a special kind of magic. Dancing in a crazy swirl. In a crazy swirl. Immaterial world. Come meet me in the immaterial world. As far as the galaxy goes, we're flying in the immaterial world. Immaterial world. Come meet me in the immaterial world. Your mind, your body and soul, delighted in the immaterial world. The immaterial world. The immaterial world.
World is hosted by Jessica Richards and Jasmina Von Killa. Music and editing by Dia Luna. Artwork by Lane Friend. Follow Immaterial World Pod on Instagram and Patreon at patreon.com/immaterialworld. You can visit our website at www.immaterial-world.com or email us at immaterialworldpod@gmail.com. Thank you for being part of our immaterial world.
Welcome to the immaterial world.